Hey everyone, hope everything is going well. You guys and gals know that drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below. Follow me on Instagram at AIH_sports. Follow me on my finance channel at AIH Finance. Okay, so I wanted to get into potential money laundering and asking questions, right? And remember, when people ask questions, you know, people tend to get irritated. But, me being an accountant, I have to ask a lot of questions. Now, before I get into this, this was actually a video that I did maybe a couple of months ago. And I showed, hey, all these there's a bunch of private sales that occurred during the pandemic. And before, yeah, you had private sales, but not to this extent. I'm talking about millions and millions of dollars, and that raised a red flag. I was thinking, okay, are these sales fake? Is there hanky panky? Is there money laundering? Whatever, right? Those are the thoughts that come into my mind. And the reason why I say that is, I took some forensic accounting class over a decade ago, and what I learned was that what these people do is if they're engaging in money laundering, one of the signs you could tell is, suppose someone makes, and they're not making that much money, outside of money laundering. Say they make $40,000, $50,000. They suppose they get a Lamborghini, through money laundering, and they drive to work. And they don't have a rich mom, they don't have a rich dad, they don't have rich family, but they still get that Lamborghini drive to work. That's a red flag that would be definitely noticed at work. And then people would, if they had a strong internal controls department, you have to ask yourself, hey, are they stealing any money from the firm? Right? That's what any smart firm would do. Now, it's hard to notice, if you're a big corporation, but a smaller corporation, you could probably figure that out, or a mid-sized corporation. So you have to just look for clues. And we have to take these webinars regarding money laundering. So it's something that, we're taught, or that I'm taught on the job and also in grad school. Now, there's another thing. I've been receiving messages that, hey, look, person XYZ may be engaging in money laundering, right? And this guy, was arrested and he's making high-end purchases. And I got a message today saying, hey, this one high-end guy, he thinks he's engaging in money laundering, right? Now, I don't have all the proof to, start outing this guy, but these are just, thoughts people have, right? And from a legal perspective, they don't say that much because, hey, look, is that defamation, that libel? I suppose that information is false, but there are people out there discussing, hey, there are criminals out there that you can name, that are big on Instagram, and you have to ask yourself, where did they get that money? Right? Before they started, they didn't look like they were affluent. But, I can't prove some of that information, but what I can tell you is quite interesting, okay? So I'm over at PWCC, and I'm looking at their terms of services, right? This is updated like a month ago. And I just type in money laundering. So it's quite interesting. In the terms of services, they have a bunch of detail about anti-money laundering. It's AML laws they're talking about. And they're talking about PWCC is providing safe, compliant, reputable services and to identify, detect, prevent, and report on money laundering, terrorist finding, and other improper activities under applicable AML laws, CTAF laws, anti-corruptions, etc. Okay. And one of the things that talk about to help the government fight the funding of terrorism and money laundering activities. Federal law requires all U.S. institutions to obtain, verify, and record information that identifies each legal entity that opens an account or establishes a customer relationship. All right. Excuse me. PWCC's financial partners require PWCC to identify its account holders and customers. Okay. That's quite interesting. So what I did was I went on the Wayback Machine, and this was as of October 5th, 2022. And if you look at it, if you type in laundering, right, I just do a search result, nothing. So you have to ask yourself, like, what was the sudden change? Why are they all of a sudden worried about money laundering? Did some hanky-panky go down this past year? That's what I'm thinking. Or, I mean, that's one of the thoughts that I have, right? That may not be it, but I did a video, PWCC margin call. Let me search this, right? So margin calls at what is it called? PWCC. I asked a question, and then I think I referenced a movie, not movie. I referenced a clip by P. Ryan Collection, I believe, or I talked about it. But anyways, long story short, there were reports that PWCC was taking cards of individuals where they had them, I believe, in vaults. And since the card went down a certain threshold and people were buying on credit, PWCC was like, hey, we got to sell it, right? So I'm just wondering, during that time frame, was there some hanky-panky they caught someone engaging in money laundering or whatever where they had to make the changes? Or what could be legitimate is that they got a new source of funding. Let me look that up. PWCC funding. Let's go back. So they got, I think, a lot of money from what's their name? I just found that here. They got this September of 2022. So they had White Hawk Capital Partners. This may be coming from White House Capital Partners, right? They may say, hey, you got to crack down on money laundering. That, or they had issues with the auction house. Those are my two thoughts that I have in my mind. Now, I went to Golden, right? And I typed in laundering in multiple areas, right? Their conditions, and I looked at their FAQs. I couldn't see anything about money laundering. And the reason why I bring this up, right? PWCC, Golden, they're pretty big. And before the pandemic, you don't see anything in their terms of services about money laundering. And for me, that's a huge red flag, because we know there's hanky-panky that goes down in this industry. While some people say, hey, the industry is cleaner than it was a decade ago, okay, fine. But at the end of the day, what type of money laundering went on during the pandemic? And then on top of it, how many of those sales were not at the value that they actually sold at, right? That is something you got to ask. And what I'm quite surprised, Golden didn't mention anything about that in their terms of services. Maybe they have their own internal control system when they do credit checks. I know they do credit checks on the high end, but still, I mean, just disclosing that would probably for someone like me, be like, oh, okay, they're doing their due diligence. Now, once again, when you don't see these terms of services discussing money laundering, I'm going to ask the question again. How much went on during the pandemic, and how many of those cards, those high-end cards, influence other people to buy the cheaper cards that weren't, a 101 or a very scarce card? So it is what it is. I did see PWCC. Maybe I could look at Heritage auction money laundering. Let's see what Google search comes for that. Let's see, money laundering terms and conditions, terms of use. All right. Let's see, auction terms and conditions. This is where I had to do a lot of research on this, but it's about shill bidding. You could basically bid on your cards, it looks like, which is crazy. They really don't have what is it called? The rule, unless they changed it. Because I was doing videos last year and I was saying, hey, look, you could basically shill based on the wording in this contract. Let's take a look at this though. Bidding. Let's see, bidding option. I think they must have changed it. They must have changed their terms of services, because this does not look the same that it once did. I did email it to myself, so I'll have to take a look at this. But regardless, I wanted to look at what is it called? Laundering. Heritage says nothing about money laundering. So none of these places talk about money laundering. And you have to ask yourself, why don't they talk about this? Right? Now, I wanted to hear what you guys and gals have to say about this. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below. Thank you. Bye.